In South Asia, there's this quiet but really intense competition that's reshaping the future for over 1 billion people. And it's not just about the old border disputes between India and China anymore. Oh no. This is a whole new great game for influence. And today, we're going to break down the playbook for you. This quote right here, it gets right to the heart of it. We are looking at two totally different blueprints for the future of an entire region. On one side, you have China's massive Belt and Road Initiative, and on the other, you have India's alternative vision. And caught right in the middle are the smaller nations of South Asia who have to figure out how to navigate this brand new reality. And yeah, that term great game, it's not just us saying that. A lot of analysts are calling it that. But, instead of the old empires from the history books, we've got two of Asia's biggest powers. And each one has a very different strategy for winning friends and really for shaping the future of this incredibly important part of the world. Okay, so let's kick things off by digging into China's strategy. It is a really powerful two-pronged approach. One part is all about economics, and the other is all about security. The easiest way to think about it, just remember the belt and the shield. So on one hand, you've got the Belt and Road Initiative, the BRI. That's the belt. It's all about gaining economic influence by building these absolutely massive infrastructure projects. And then you've got the shield, the Global Security Initiative, or GSI. This one's all about building up security influence through defense partnerships and even policing cooperation. So what makes the BRI so darn appealing? Well, just imagine you're a developing country for a second. China shows up and offers you enormous loans for that port or that highway you desperately need. And they promise to build it fast with way fewer of the bureaucratic headaches and conditions you might get from, say, Western lenders. That is the exact offer that led to huge projects like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and the Hambantota port in Sri Lanka. It's a tempting deal. And then there's the SHIELD, the Global Security Initiative, the GSI. This is China's big move to really formalize and expand its security power. Now, it's not a formal military alliance like NATO, not at all. Instead, think of it more like a big umbrella that covers everything from arms sales to joint military exercises to police training, and it's all offered up as a direct alternative to what China calls interventionist Western security frameworks. And look at this. What's really striking is just how fast this is catching on. I mean, in just a few short years, you've got major players like Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and the Maldives all signing on. This shows you the GSI isn't just some idea on a piece of paper. It's actively reshaping the security map of the entire region. This GSI didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's actually built on a really solid foundation of existing defense ties. And this table, well, it shows just how deep those ties go. China is by far the dominant arms supplier to countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh. And what that does is it locks these nations into these long-term relationships for everything: training, maintenance, and, of course, future upgrades. And if you want to see just how deep that security partnership goes, look no further than this. For Pakistan, China isn't just an arms supplier, it's the arms supplier, almost 78% of its imports. This visual makes it crystal clear just how intertwined their security interests have come. It's staggering. Okay, so that's China's playbook. But of course, this is not a one-sided story. India is acutely aware of China's growing footprint, and it's pushing back with its own vision for the region. The strategy isn't about direct confrontation. Instead, India is offering something it calls the alternatives. So the big question is, how is India responding? Is it trying to go toe-to-toe with China's spending? Well, not exactly. Instead, it's proposing a fundamentally different model for partnership and for development. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the difference in their approach, it's like night and day. It's all about philosophy. Where China offers these massive loan-heavy projects that are all about speed, India comes in offering grants and low-interest loans. The focus shifts from just pure scale to things like sustainability, transparency, and a partnership model that, respects local needs and tries to avoid the risk of those infamous debt traps. And listen, this isn't just a bunch of ideas on paper. India is putting its money where its mouth is with really strategic projects. You've got the Chabahar port, which opens up a whole new corridor to Central Asia, completely bypassing Pakistan. There's the Trilateral Highway connecting India to Southeast Asia. Every single one of these projects is designed not just for economic growth, but to create this web of connectivity that offers a clear alternative to just relying on China. And this right here, this speaks volumes about India's role. It wants to be seen as a net security provider,
basically a stabilizing force. So when Sri Lanka was facing total economic collapse back in 2022, when the chips were down, it wasn't China that stepped in first. It was India, with over $8 billion in emergency aid. It was a very clear signal that it's a reliable first responder in a crisis.
All right, so we've got these two giants, China and India, with their competing visions. But what about the other countries in South Asia? You know, the ones caught right in the middle. Well, for them, it's all about performing a very, very delicate balancing act.
Well, this quote just nails their perspective perfectly. These countries do not want to be forced to pick a side. What they want is development. They want investment, they want better infrastructure, and if that means working with both India and China to get it, then that's exactly what they're going to do. It's pure pragmatism.
So what's their game plan? Well, it pretty much boils down to three things. First off, pure development. They need investment from wherever they can get it. Simple as that. Second, they're hedging their bets. By engaging with China, they get more leverage with their traditional partner, India. It gives them more bargaining power. And third, and you can never, ever forget this one, domestic politics. A single election can completely flip a country's foreign policy, just like we've seen with the India Out campaign in the Maldives.
So, where does all of this leave us? What is the future of this competition going to look like? Well, one thing's for sure. This isn't some short-term rivalry. This is a long-term structural competition that's going to define South Asia for decades to come. The phrase you really need to get your head around here is managed imbalance. You see, from Beijing's point of view, the momentum is on their side. They're the bigger economy, growing faster. So for India, the goal isn't necessarily to perfectly match China's power dollar for dollar. The goal is to manage this gap, to use its own strengths to make sure the imbalance doesn't become a permanent state of Chinese dominance. So when you boil it all down, this is the core choice on the table for every nation in South Asia. On one side, China's offering incredible economic scale and speed, a powerful engine for building big things fast. And on the other side, India offers regional trust, a long history of stability, and a model of sustainable partnership. It's a choice between a challenger to the status quo and the region's traditional net security provider.
And that really brings us to the final multi-billion-dollar question, doesn't it? These two giants are going to continue to compete, there's no doubt about that. But the real test is whether their competition can be managed for the good of the whole region. Will this race to build and connect lead to shared prosperity for everyone? Or will the rivalry ultimately pull this critical part of the world apart? The answer to that is going to define South Asia's future.